Welcome, fellow freaks, geeks, and nostalgic peeps, to my channel, Slime and Slashers, where, yeah, we talk about everything from Nickelodeon slime to horror movie slashers, but plenty of stuff in between, including books. Today's video, though, it is the very last Halloweekend Readathon vlog, but also the very last Halloween-themed vlog in general. So sad! So sad. Why? This is future Kelsi, so future Kelsi, in my world, it's already past Halloween, and it's sad that it's over. But have no fear, let's go back in time, and let's bask in the glory that is the end of spooky season. So let's go back, and let's live in that universe a little bit longer. So without further ado, we'll go to the short intro, and then we will be back in time, and we will have a few more days to share together the joys of spooky season.
It's running time!
No!
Yeah.
I'm very not excited. It's hot as hell. At least there's a breeze, I guess.
I guess, but I hate running.
Hello! It is the final weekend of the Halloweekend Readathon. Also, it's the final weekend of October. I have some reading updates. I have started Autumncrow High Fresh Hell. I am about, I think, let's see, 50-something pages, 58 pages in. Loving this so much. It opens up with a dream sequence. It's super dark. We're getting to know these two main characters, Bailey and Melody, and I really like them a lot. So although this is YA, it doesn't read YA. The characters don't feel super YA. Sometimes when you read a YA, the characters just talk very YA. This is not the case here. Cameron's writing really shines. There's a lot of description. There's a lot of autumn vibes already. Even though this takes place in late summer, at least the beginning of the book, I will be so surprised if this is not a 5-star. I really don't see how it cannot be a 5-star, but we will see. I'm only 50-something pages in. I will check in when I'm further along, but already loving this quite a bit. The other book I am reading is Slewfoot. I am listening to audio, and I'm also diamond painting. I am about 80 pages into this one. This is so good. I would also be very surprised if this isn't a 5-star read by the time I'm done with it, because I'm loving this so much. It is a character study, and this poor woman, she's facing a lot of adversity in the little town that she's in back in the day, back when women didn't have a lot of rights, so that kind of sucks, but she is a badass. And also we're following this other character who's this mysterious kind of supernatural character, and I think more is going to come together. I don't want to give away too much. I'm just really loving the witchy vibes in this. It is perfect for this month, and I'm so glad I'm reading it this weekend. I'm loving it. I'm living my best spooky themed life with these two books. I'm really glad I saved these for the very end of October, because I just feel like these are such atmospheric reads, and it's already been so much fun digging into these, and I can't wait to finish and continue. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, guys, I am ready to wrap up this vlog. So I did, first off, I'll go in order of how I finished these books. So on Halloween night, late Halloween night, I finished Slewfoot by Brom. Wonderful book. Amazing audiobook as well. I gave Krampus by Brom 5 stars. I absolutely adored Krampus. This, I also adored it. I thought it was a wonderful character study. At one point, I was just so livid with the town people in the story. I hated them so much. So the ending, I was very happy about how the ending was playing out for the most part. But yes, this was almost a perfect read for me. The only reason it's not is just because I liked Krampus a tiny bit more. And the very end, I don't know, there was something missing from the very end of this for me, but overall, very enjoyable. I'm giving this a 4.5 star read. Super appropriate for spooky season, lots of witchy vibes, and just amazing imagery, amazing language that Brom uses to write his stories. And of course, the physical book, which I did look in as I was reading along at some points, has amazing artwork included within the story, within the book. Wonderful. Love it. And I just finished my last read last night, so it did take me a little bit longer, but I did read 50% of it in October, so I am going to still count it as read for October. It wasn't part of my Halloweekend Readathon prompts. I just read it because I wanted to get it read in October. I will talk about that in a second. It's Autumncrow High Fresh Hell by Cameron Chaney, and I have lots to say about it. But first, I want to show you guys some cards that I've been getting. This is from my friend Megan, and I call my Patreon members Kelsi Corns, and this card swap was with myself and all of my Patreons. We all sent each other cards, and because I call them Kelsi Corns, this card is so perfect because it's different corns. Like, you know, it's like candy corn dogs, and it's got candy corn on corn cobs, it's like candy corn cream corn, and it's just amazing. Like popping corn, but it's popping candy corn. This is from my friend Vanessa. Look at the inside of the card, filled with stickers. And the outside of the card with lots of little, you know, treats and goodies and just such cute things. Love it. Love it. Love it. Next up, this is from my friend Jessica, aka Christy Star. Love this so much. She also sent a fun sticker as well. A lot of the cards came with stickers, so this is a beautiful little postcard though. This is from my friend Rachel. I thought it was funny that she made like the skeleton smoking and it's a ghost coming out of the cigarette. That is hilarious. And she was just saying on the back how she loved getting these cards and doing this card swap. So, I'm so glad. By the way, Rachel, the one who gave me this card, is also the one who gifted me Slewfoot last year. This is from my awesome friend Melissa, and she even said that this card reminded her of the diamond painting I just did, which was like a 3-tiered pumpkin just like this. And I was like, oh my god, you're so right. And the inside of this card is so sweet. I teared up so hard. Thank you so much, Melissa. I love this card. Look at this lovely little ghost! He's so adorable. This is from Christine. Check out her channel, Secrets Read. I am so sad. I sent a package to Christine and I just checked on the tracking last night and apparently it's being returned to me. So something went wrong and I've got to figure it out. But Christine, you're not getting a card from me because it was in a package and that's coming back towards me, but I will find a way to send it back to you. But thank you so much for this awesome card and for the stickers you sent too. Here's one from my friend Venus, who has amazing handwriting. Her handwriting is so lovely and she is just such a sweetheart. She also has a channel, which I'll link below. She has such a great personality. I hope you guys check her channel out. This one is beyond adorable. Boot Scootin' Spooky! Instead of Boot Scootin' Boogie. Wait, I almost messed it up. Boot Scootin' Boogie. It's Boot Scootin' Spooky. I couldn't even get the real thing right. And I love this card so much because we've got this inside joke on my Patreon about checking the map. It's hard to explain. It's from a Goofy movie, and this one Patreon only sprint we did, we just kept saying check the map and it went insane. But anyway, she drew a map and it says checking the map. Yes. She says, you're so welcome for this rare and wonderful piece of art below. I love you, Lori. This made me laugh so hard. You're the best. Thank you all so much. I'm so honored to have gotten these cards. Also, before I go into the book, I did finish my diamond painting. Here it is. so hopefully I'm trying to peek that you can see it. It's a little scarecrow in front of a haunted house. So I already sealed this. I sealed this just the other night, and it still looks nice and shiny. So in case you're wondering if sealing does anything to make it look wonky, it doesn't. It protects it, and it's not sticky anymore, except I accidentally got the glue stuff on the back there. Alright, now that's off. I gotta cut the edges off. Obviously, it's like peeling and it's all kind of dirty, but that's just because my sleeves get stuck on the edges a lot, like my long sleeves and my sweatshirts, and so it gets all fuzzy. Anyway, I'm gonna cut this up. Alright, it's time! It's time to talk about this book. This book blew me away. I have to get this out of the way. Cameron and I are friends. Cameron sent me a hardcover copy and a paperback copy, and he signed both of them, but I also bought myself a Kindle copy. He didn't send it to me in exchange for an honest review or anything. He just sent it to me because he knew I was excited to read it, and also to send me a signed copy. We're friends, whatever. It wasn't like a big exchange or anything, and although he's my friend, and he's a marvelous, wonderful person, a talented author, a really great YouTuber, and he does support me on Patreon. I support him on Patreon. I want to get all that out of the way so that it's out in the open and clear, but none of that affects my rating of this. None of this affects my enjoyment of this book. So just be aware that this is my true, 100% honest feelings about this book that I'm about to disclose, and I stand by my opinions about this, and it has nothing to do with our friendship at all. I was literally crying at the epilogue of this, and no other book this year has made me cry. Now, last year I did cry at the Midnight Club, but as of this year, I don't think another book has made me cry at all, or even tear up very forcefully. This one, I literally shed tears, and after I was done, I literally told Paul, one, I was like ranting and saying like, Cameron, like more people should be like freaking shouting from the rooftops about this book. This is incredible. Cameron's so talented. And then I was just going on and on about how I can't see a world in which he won't become a huge successful author, because this blew me away. I always talk about the short story collection Autumncrow, which is also by Cameron Chaney, and this book takes place in that same universe as that short story collection. It's a town called Autumncrow, which this book, it takes place in that town as well. But I think this is even better than Autumncrow. So although I have touted Autumncrow, I actually like this even better. And this is honestly my favorite read of the freaking year. And back to how I reacted to Paul. So after telling him and ranting about how like Cameron's gotta be like such a huge author one day because like he is seriously insanely talented, and I was saying it in like an angry voice, I was like, he's gotta become like a talent, like I was like very passionate about it. Anyway, and he laughed. Paul was just like, yeah, like from what you say, he sounds super talented. Like I can't see why he won't become super successful and huge and stuff. And I was just like, he's gotta become huge. It was great. Anyway, so I'm like wiping off my tears. I was trying to hide my tears from Paul before I even turned to him and said all this like kind of specific stuff. But I was telling him that this book I think is my favorite book of the year, and it just really floored me how amazing this book was. And I was just going on and on to him about how incredible this book was because I needed someone to share it with right away. So I was like, I almost wish, and this is a joke, I don't really mean this, but I told Paul, I almost wish Cameron and I were not friends so that people wouldn't think that there's some kind of bias from our friendship about, you know, how I feel about this book. But I'm glad we're friends. So that's just, like, it's not really a serious thing that I wish we weren't friends, but it would be easier to convince you how passionately I feel about this book, and it has nothing to do with our friendship, if we were not friends. But I am glad we were friends. This is a 5-star read. One of the easiest decisions ever in terms of rating decisions to give this 5 stars. This is a YA book, technically, just so you know. It does not read YA. His other book, Autumncrow, it's a collection of short stories. This is a full-length novel. It is a full story. It is the first of a series. So Autumncrow High will become a series. Fresh Hell, this book, is the first of a series, but this book does stand on its own. It does have a complete beginning, middle, end, but there is room for things to develop, and I could see where it's going to go from there. Our two main characters, we've got Bailey and we've got Melody, and these two characters I love because they are written very, very believably. Their dialogue is believable. It's not cringy. Sometimes when you get into the YA realm of horror books or just YA writing in general, you can have very cringy characters in terms of the dialogue. It's just over the top, unbelievable. This helps that it's set in 1994, I believe, so the teenagers don't talk like they do today. It just feels a lot more natural for me to read the type of dialogue that Cameron has in this book with the teenagers. and their friendship. So there is a lot of darkness in this book. There's a lot of gore, which I really appreciated because it surprised me how dark it got, and it surprised me how gory some of the passages got. But it's not all just about being gory and graphic and, you know, giving you all that ooey gooey goodness. It also, at the heart of it, is really about friendship, I think. And the friendship between Bailey and Melody is really the most important part of the story. It's the biggest part of the story. And I think it's the most compelling part of the story, even though there is a bigger mystery that is going on, you know, above and beyond their friendship and analyzing their friendship. And their friendship is not perfect either. And I really like that because it's believable. It's not like that they're these two best friends who are like absolutely, you know, never have any fights or, you know, just get along uber perfectly. There is some tension between them at times. And I thought that was so awesome and so realistic, and I appreciated that. Also, although this is set in 1994, it doesn't knock you over the head with the nostalgia, and I'm all up for nostalgia, don't get me wrong, but it's not phoned in, it's not kind of over the top, it's not cashing in on a cheap hot trend, because 80s and 90s nostalgia is really big right now, it's really in right now, but I don't think this book uses it in a cheap or, you know, cashing in type of way. I think it's very natural the way the nostalgia is played up in here. We also get some scenes that take place way back in the day in 1959, which I thought was also really interesting. This book is just on top of it all. It has gore, it has great characters, it also has amazing freaking poetic prose. And I say poetic as in it's beautifully written, it's very descriptive, and all of that is great, but it's very readable at the very same time. I compare this, and Cameron's writing in general, and this is true with Autumncrow as well as this book, Autumncrow High, Fresh Hell. I think both of his books, they remind me of a writing style similar to Ray Bradbury, but less flowery and more, I don't know, like I said, approachable, more easily digestible. So it's got the prose and also the autumn-loving vibes that remind me of Ray Bradbury, but it's just so much easier to absorb as a reader. Whereas a lot of people, for instance, I know some people who read Something Wicked This Way Comes this year. I read that a couple of years ago, loved it. It is hard to read though because some of the language is just so over the top, so poetic, that it is hard to really understand sometimes, and you really have to take your time with it. This, it has wonderfully written and very descriptive passages, but never so descriptive or so flowery that you can't understand what Cameron's trying to say. So it's not like he's kind of trying to show off with his vocabulary or with his word choices or anything of that nature, or with his sentence structure. I do think he's got some great Halloween vibes in this. It actually takes place in late summer, but in Autumncrow, it is like it's Halloween every single day. So you get the Halloween vibes no matter when the book is going to be set in. And this is probably going to be true for books coming in the future in this series. So I'm so excited. Every book will have those kind of behind the scenes Halloween-y feels that you're looking for that you could read any time of year. So this had so much going for it, and honestly, so before this, my favorite read of the year was Mayfly by C.J. Lead. Love that book. Also has Halloween-y vibes, funnily enough. That's a coincidence. I like fall and Halloween vibes. Many of you who participated in the readathon may know that one of my favorite tropes is a Halloween and fall setting, so it makes sense that I like books with that kind of thing, because it was one of my favorite tropes that I listed for people to choose as something that they read. So I think this had the vibes I was looking for, but more importantly, it had amazing characters that I cared about that really made me feel deep down, and I just had such a wonderful time reading this. And I know I love a book when I'm reading it physically and it flies by. I never feel like it's dragging. I never felt like I was dreading picking it back up. I could have read it faster. I just had so much to do in the last 2 days of the month. That was the problem. That's why I didn't finish it till November 1st, late at night, is because I just didn't have the time I needed to read. I was doing so many other things. Otherwise, I could have easily, if I had the time, finished this in 1 or 2 settings max. And the ease of which I felt I read it physically just tells me how much I really did truly like it. So as I said before I read this, my favorite read of the year was Mayfly. Hands down, I was like, oh, I enjoyed this so much. This surpassed it. This is now my new favorite read of 2023, and I can't see anything else knocking it off that pedestal. We will see. It could happen, but this will wind up in my top 10 no matter what. When we come to the end of the year, my top 10 favorites. Will it be number one? We'll have to wait and see, but as of now, it is definitely my number one, and it surpassed Mayfly. Just so enjoyable in so many ways, and it made me tear up, and I can't recommend this more to everyone out there. I think this is perfect for so many different kinds of readers. You don't have to be a Halloween lover to like this. You don't have to be a YA fan to like this. I think you could like any kind of book and like this. You don't even have to be an exclusive horror reader to like this. Is there gore? Yes. Is it too much to handle? No. It's like the perfect amount, and it's balanced perfectly with everything else it has, like great character development and all of the other wonderful things I said, really descriptive passages, etc., etc. And a wonderfully fleshed out setting too, by the way. So it has all of those things, and if you're already a fan of things like Ray Bradbury or R.L. Stine, you might really extra like this because it does remind me of R.L. Stine books like Fear Street books. It also reminds me of Point Horror books, but the writing in this compared to Fear Street or compared to things like Point Horror, this is just on another level. So it's so much better. It's like Fear Street and Point Horror, but way elevated, if that makes sense. So if you like any of that stuff that I mentioned, or if you're just up for a great story, here comes Jackson to give his 2 cents, then I think you can't go wrong with reading this, and I'm so glad I saved it for my last read, because I had a feeling that I would feel this way, because I know his writing from reading Autumncrow. But like I said, I think this is even better than Autumncrow, because it's an actual, fully fleshed out story versus, a whole bunch of short stories. Even though Autumncrow, I'm excited to go back and reread that now, because there's a lot of connections in here that I probably would have caught more of had I just reread it or anything. I need to go back and reread it to make more connections because it's all in the same universe and it's so good. And there's a bigger lore at play here that's going to come into play in the future too. This is a very long-winded wrap-up, but I had to give my 2 cents. I had to tell you the lowdown, the skinny about it. Easy 5-star, favorite read of the year. So although I am sad that October is over, I'm really happy to have been part of the readathon. Thank you so much, Lexi, for asking me to be a co-host. It really meant a lot to me. I am so proud to have been a co-host, and I love being a part of the event. I think the event was fantastic. Thank you for all you did to develop the prompts, all the things you did with the graphics, and again, thank you for having me as a co-host, and thank you also to my fellow co-hosts, Katrina, Sav, and Kaylee. I really appreciate you guys and loved hanging out in our live streams all month long. It was awesome, and it was fun. So, thank you guys to anyone who's been watching my vlogs, whether or not you've participated in Halloweekend. Appreciate you guys watching my videos no matter what. If you did participate in Halloweekend, what was your favorite prompt? What was your favorite part of the readathon? What was your favorite read that you read for the readathon? And if you didn't participate, I still want to know what your favorite read of the month of October was. I had a great month. I ended up reading 21 freaking books. I didn't vlog for a weekend and a half, or like a week and a half, so I will have a lot to talk about that I didn't cover in any vlog during my monthly wrap-up, which will be coming soon in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that if you want to find out more about the books that I read but never discussed in a vlog, because that will be coming soon. But for this time, guys, that is it for me. Till next time, you know what you can do. Keep on killing it and keep spooky season in your heart till next year. Bye, guys!